Okay, what you're going to need for this is about a pound of cauliflower. Really, I just found the smallest head of cauliflower I could find. That way, we only had to eat it twice in a week and not 5 times in a week. Then you're going to need some of the Philadelphia chive and onion cream cheese. You're going to need about 1/4 of a cup of Parmesan cheese, 2 ounces of just regular Philly cream cheese, about 1/4 a cup of milk, 1/2 teaspoon of the Dijon, and really about 1/2 teaspoon of the salt, and then 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. But if you like more than that, go for it. Or if you wanted to add some spicy pepper, that's good too. And then as far as the hardware goes, what you're going to need is a stirring spoon, a mashing spoon, a strainer, some sort of teaspoon, and then a final bowl to put it in and serve your family with. Hi, I'm Katie Swan from Pocatello, Idaho, and this is what I do in my spare time when I'm not teaching kindergarten or being a mom of 3 and a wife to a husband who is gracious enough to try all the samples that I keep trying. I'm going to do a recipe that my mom gave me because she thought you really shouldn't do as many potatoes as we currently eat. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try, and then I had to change the recipe a little bit because that's just kind of how I always cook. It's just something new. So I'm going to start with about 1 pound of cauliflower, and I really kind of just like to break it apart with my hands. And really, about bite size is what you're looking for. You know, my mom, bless her soul, loves to try all these new kind of diet recipe things and healthy fats, so this is probably more decadent than would ever make it onto her her recipes of non-fattening foods. But anyway, so I'm going to cook the cauliflower. I'm going to put it in boiling water and put it in till it is about fork tender. Alrighty, so now that I've got that in the water, I do like to add a little bit of salt to the water. I think it gives you more flavor and you don't ultimately have to add as much salt at the end. While that's coming to a boil and cooking up, it should take about 5 to 7 minutes depending on how soft you like yours. I like mine just pierceable with a knife. Pretty al dente, I guess you would call that. I'm going to take my regular cream cheese, Philly cream cheese, and then my chive and onion cream cheese. So about 2 ounces of regular, and then about 3 ounces. We're just going to eyeball it. Maybe as much as 4 if you like that, of the chive and onion. And then I'm just going to beat them together so that they're nice and mixed up. You could use all of one or all of the other. I kind of like the mixture of both. When I've done it with all just one, it kind of overpowers the cauliflower, so mixing the two is quite nice. This is a really good side dish. You know, I don't know that it will take the place of a mashed potatoes because, man, love mashed potatoes. But what I do really like is just something else to add. Try to get those vegetables in my kiddos. And we really do it any way we possibly can. So just really beat that up. You know, I should be wearing an apron, and I'm not because I get everything all over my clothes, so why dirty an apron and have to deal with that too? Alrighty, so these have done cooking, and you know, it really only took these about 4 minutes, so be real careful with yours. I don't know what determines how long they cook. Sometimes, if they're bigger heads, obviously longer, smaller heads, not quite as long. And then I'm just going to put them in a dish that's got enough room that I can smash them. So you're kind of going to aerate them like they would be potatoes. I can see where the concept of this came from. So scoop it all out. I think that's probably going to be good. How I can tell it's fork tender is what I do is I take my fork into the thickest part of it, which is here on the stem, and it goes in without any problem. So then I'm going to take my potato masher, and I'm just going to squish these up. And really, you could do this in a food processor. A blender might overdo it, so I really wouldn't do it in a blender. But you could do this in a food processor. But with how decadent these are, I really think you should do it by hand. Burn up some of those calories early. Anyway, so you're just going to squish it until It's nice little pieces. Alright, as you can tell, I am an amateur camera person. My 6-year-old is nice enough to sit behind the camera and press stop and go when I tell her to. So you'll have to forgive me for that. And like all good teachers, we are big procrastinators, and it is coming down to the wire here. So I'm going to try to hurry this along. So I got these mashed up. I think you can see them. They look a little bit like mashed potatoes. What I'm going to do then is take this bowl that I've really just kind of beaten into submission with this cream cheese, put the cream cheese straight into the cauliflower, and then I'm also going to put a little bit of Dijon mustard. It gives it that tang, cuts the creaminess just a little bit, but kind of gives it that depth. I've done it without the mustard, and it's really good, but it kind of, you need a little something, so I decided the mustard was a good thing to add. And then I'm just going to kind of stir it all in, making sure it all gets a little bit of the cream cheese. I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of milk. That will also help it to kind of be light and fluffy. What am I doing stirring with a fork? I'm going to stir it with a spoon. And at any point, if the head looks too big and you want it creamier, then what I would do is just add more cream cheese, whichever flavor you feel like you want. This is what feels good to our family. So I've got it mixed up here, and then the last thing I'm going to do, so it looks kind of like runny mashed potatoes, so you could fool your kids into maybe sampling another vegetable. I'm going to put it in this pan. And then you could do one of two things. You could either stir in the cup of Parmesan, or you could top it. I like to top it and then throw it back under the broiler for just a minute. Makes this really nice crust on top. So, let me do that. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper. It's probably pretty good. There's lots of good flavor in that Philadelphia cream cheese. I don't need to add much, but I've come to decide that everybody likes different amounts of salt. Some people don't like any. Some people like a lot. And then I'm going to go ahead and top it with the Parmesan cheese. So once we get that on there, we're going to put it under the broiler. Oh, not very long. Watch this. Keep your oven on. And I forgot to set my broiler, so that'll take just a minute. Alrighty, I think we're about done. So what I really wanted was there to be, a light brown top on the top of it. Looks just like that. You could let it go a little bit further if you wanted. I didn't want the cheese to ultimately harden it. So then, of course, with all the great things, you need to sample just a little bit. Be careful, it will be screaming hot. So it'll be nice and warm. But I think it looks really pretty, and a really pretty good alternative to mashed potatoes. So, yum. Well, I apologize for my amateur filming skills, but I hope you enjoyed the recipe.